Guys, it's been 6 days. It's been 6 entire days since I've last featured this man on the YouTube channel. I know that some of you are like, Loko, where is he? I'm going through some withdrawal symptoms right now. What's going on? When am I going to see another match of his? Here we go. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner of the map. Playing with the red Zerg drones, we have Dark. Now, I know, I've seen the YouTube comments. I know, I cast Dark games quite a bit. Maybe a little bit too much. But the thing is, I try to bring you the very best games of StarCraft 2. And it turns out that the very best players in StarCraft 2 tend to also, believe it or not, play the very best games. I know, that is a bit of a stretch, but it turns out Dark is playing in pretty much everything right now, and he's, well, playing some fantastic StarCraft 2. Personally, I'm not tired of it just yet. I believe a lot of you are still getting a kick out of his gameplay as well, so I'm hoping we can keep this streak going for a little while longer, because today, his opponent, playing right here with the blue Terran SCVs, I mean, I can't let a match like this, you know, pass, just because I've already featured Dark a lot over the last couple of months. Playing right here with the blue SCVs, we have the StarCraft 2 World Champion, who goes by the name of Oliveira. Alright, so Dark versus Oliveira, guys. I get a lot of replay packs, right? And there's, you know, there's some good games in there, I'm sure, right? There's a lot of guys from, like, the top 50 of StarCraft 2. And then, you know, there's replays included of Dark versus Oliveira. I have to have a look. Anyways, so far, nothing all too crazy to start this particular match off, as Dark is going for a hatchery into a gas geyser. He's going to be saturating that gas as well with drones that are coming out of their cocoons right now. And then he, of course, also went for a spawning pool. This will allow him to get a couple of queens going. He'll probably go for a quick third hatchery, because that's what Zerg players are doing. They like to be greedy. His opponent, in the meantime, Oliveira, going for a quick command center on the low ground. Not quite as quick as that hatchery, as he decided to go for a supply depot first, and then, of course, into a barracks. The barracks is going to be fantastic, because even though Reapers aren't the most popular unit overall in StarCraft 2, they are fantastic at what they are good at, and that's early game scouting and early game harassment. Sometimes people ask, Loko, why don't we see a buff to the Reaper? Because usually we only see like 1, maybe 2 at most. The thing is, if you decide to buff this unit, guys like Bjorn are gonna win everything for the foreseeable future. And yeah, it's really good at what it does, but not so good at everything else. Oh my god, Dark, what was that? Is he baiting his opponent right now? What was that little interaction? Hold up. I decided to go back. Sorry, that made no sense. So normally you try to hide this drone at the third base, but Dark is almost offensively positioning it. Oliveira could then deny it. Dark already had the minerals to go for a hatch, and then he starts it up at 420. I mean, 420 hatchery is maybe the meme, but I don't think that's the optimal way of playing the game. Interesting. Anyways, yeah, Oliveira could have denied that. Dark could have made it sooner. I guess he decided to save up a little bit of additional cash so he could morph in a drone into a spore crawler there, but that certainly is not the most optimal way of playing. These guys already playing tricks on one another. The thing about third hatcheries, though, so Zerg players obviously play very greedy, right? They like to go for really greedy third hatcheries. Terrans, though, feel the most comfortable playing against the Zerg that is playing greedy, because that's what they play against most often, right? So even though you're like, oh my god, Zerg going for a super quick third hatchery again, it also, on the flip side, allows you to go for a really quick third command center. So Oliveira maybe letting that one slide. It looks a little bit funky. I wouldn't have minded seeing him harass that drone for a little bit, but yeah, guys of Dark's caliber are probably not really gonna be too hurt anyways, right? If they have to, yeah, adjust because their third hatchery is ever so slightly later. He'll know how to respond to it, so I don't think it really matters, but it is kind of funny to me. Anyways, we've got an aggressive opener right here from Dark, if I'm not mistaken. 3.5 minutes into the game, we see that Roach Warren going down. He's got 3 drones still mining gas. No second gas geyser, but the thing is, he's hiding that Roach Warren in the back. He did not decide to go for the Zergling speed upgrade, so he's certainly planning on building a whole lot of roaches and then sending them towards the other side of the map. Now, sadly for him, he's going up against the Terran player who's going triple CC. That's nice, but it's also Banshees on the back of it. This is one of those openers that we've seen time and time again. Clem plays this sort of build a lot. We've seen Maru play this sort of build a lot. Basically, all of the top Terrans, rather, they like to go for this particular strategy, because not only can you make sure that you get a booming economy right at the very start with triple CC and triple mule, you also get those Banshees out, and last time I checked, roaches can't shoot up. Usually, though, that doesn't really seem to hurt Dark all too much. He's still going to send those roaches across regardless. That's pretty much always what he does. He doesn't have link speed, so he's not gonna flood on the back of this. Instead, he decides to go for a lair. So this is a lair before Zergling speed. Okay. That surprises me a little bit because, well, Zerglings are good units, right? Even after the Roach is out. I know this may seem a little counterintuitive, but Roaches are good, but not quite as good as Zerglings, especially in the later stage of the game. This is also a little awkward right now because Oliveira technically has all the tools at his disposal to deal with this, but he hasn't seen the Roaches. So he's gonna see them right now as they knock on the front door. At the same time though, that's gonna allow these units over here to get some damage done too. Keep in mind, no link speed. Very nice positioning though right there by the Zerg player on the Queens. Now the Banshees are out, he was saving them up. Yeah, and this is still gonna work out really well right here for Dark, I believe. Well, really well. Yeah, a little asterisk right next to it. This is dealing a lot of damage, but he's gonna lose all of these Roaches as well, because there's no way that they're gonna be coming back home. I would have liked this a whole lot better if Oliveira dealt a bunch of counterattack damage in the meantime, but Dark has been very cleverly oversaturating his natural here. Yeah, purposely trying to hide as many of those drones as possible. So in the end, big picture, 8 drones end up going down, 10 SCVs, a lot of lost mining time as well. And in the meantime, Dark obviously oversaturated too. But I think as this game goes back underway, and as the income here, the income graph catches up, we'll see a nice little boost right there for our Zerg. Now we're gonna go into the link speed. Okay, so Roach speed as well as link speed essentially starting up at the same time. Very interesting. The follow-up right now from Oliveira is gonna be that biological-based army, that infantry-based army as he goes for Stimpak as well as the 1-1 upgrades. Banshees over here, okay, maybe getting some work done. Not bad. Yeah, the thing about the Roach opener, right? And only really Dark does this, at this level of play anyways. I'm sure there's guys on the ladder that try to execute this. I've tried it many times myself, but it doesn't work for me at all. The problem with this opener for Dark is that you kind of get stuck playing Roach Ravager. So if you've played a lot of Zerg, and you've tried getting good at the game, you know that feeling when you're playing Ling Bane, and you know that feeling when you're playing Roach Ravager, right? Going from Roach Ravager into Ling Bane is a very awkward transition. So apparently it starts up with 1 Evo chamber with a Carapace upgrade, then we're going for a second Evo a little bit later with +1 melee, and then eventually a Baneling Nest. So you're playing a weird combination of units that honestly feels overly complex as a Zerg. Like, you either want to play Roach Ravager into like Hydra Lurker, or you play something like Ling Bane into maybe Muta, into maybe Ultras, right? But this is what Dark likes to do all the time, and it feels really strange, but he's better at this than anybody else. He's opening up with one of the two, and then he's transitioning into the other. Now, I can't quite figure out if this is actually a really good build from Dark, or if it's mainly because of the fact that Terrans are looking at this and they're like, hey, we're playing against Roach Ravager. Fantastic, I'm going Siege Tanks right now. And then suddenly, there's Ling Bane instead. I don't know, it always feels... I don't know if it's because Terrans don't play against this as often, because only really Dark plays this style, or if it's actually strong. I might be mistaken. Anyways, Dark also going for Pathogen Glands already. So that is the Infestor Energy upgrade. So he's going Roach, Ling, Bane, Infestor into Hive. I think what Dark actually does when it comes to these sort of builds. So usually Zerg players, they play relatively timing attack focus, or I guess StarCraft players in general, they like to attack as soon as upgrades finish up. This is Dark basically saying, yo, I think that's what he's saying anyways, I am not gonna go for a timing attack of any sort. Instead, I'm just gonna play defensively, and I'm gonna tech up like no tomorrow. I'm just gonna make sure that I don't take any damage from anything that you throw at me. And yeah, I'll try and make an ultimate Zerg army here eventually. Now, the ultimate Zerg armies, they do hit relatively early. But it's interesting. It's interesting for sure. So, Pathogen Glands only really makes sense when you want to go for multiple Infestors. Now, he's got 2 of them right now. One of them already threw a Fungal Growth right there. We also have Vipers right now coming up, as even though we're only 8.5 minutes or so into the game, that Hive already finished. Double Macro Hatch in the main base too. Nobody plays like this, man. Anyways, Oliveira coming across right now with a banger attack. This is a very scary timing. That splash damage here from Zerg needs to be on point. He doesn't have a lot of Fungals. He doesn't have a lot of Banelings either. There's those Banshees from earlier still being obnoxious. You love to see it. Okay, eventually they are going to be pushed back. This is a really strong position on the map, by the way. I love that Oliveira is setting himself up over here. Sadly for Oliveira, and I don't know if this is intentional, he never started up the +2 Carapace. So, or the +2 infantry armor, I guess. The Terran infantry Carapace. would be helpful if he decided to go for that upgrade, because as this game progresses, or if this game progresses, nah, I know it progresses. I've seen that this replay is rather long. As this game progresses, it's gonna be critical that he gets all of those upgrades done. Anyways, love this position because you can actually harass the baser on the high ground. Excellent splits right here from Oliveira. This is now triggering, a full-on counter-attack by the Zerg as well. So, tons of lings on the other side of the map, but reinforcing Terran units are ready to greet them. And I don't believe that is really going to deal a lot of damage. That being said, though, the Vipers right now have enough energy for blinding clouds. Reinforcing units are coming in, but I do believe Zerg... no. Yes. With reinforcements, they will be able to clean this all up eventually. But that was an absolute mess. And that's what I mean, right? So that's a relatively good example, I suppose, of what kind of happens when you're playing both unit compositions, when you're going for a little bit of both. Since you're obviously investing technology and resources into things that are gonna benefit you in the long run, but not really just yet in the moment, you just don't end up with enough stuff. So excellent read right there from Oliveira, who's now gone for a 4th command center as well. Planetary Fortress coming up, and he's gonna continue the harassment. Now this is a wonderful little drop. Not only is it gonna deny the base, it's gonna distract the Zerg army all the way towards the left side of the map, as he now starts knocking on the right instead. Now, this hatchery is being rebuilt. There's not a lot of creep over here. Oliveira, man, this guy. I mean, he obviously won the World Championships, right? So, for obvious reasons, he's incredibly good. Jimmy. Okay, he cares about Jimmy. That's good. Love to see it. But he really has stepped it up. I know some of you get a little offended whenever I, you know, sound surprised about Oliveira performing so well. But seriously, he's always been good. But, like, over the last half year, he has gotten so much better. It's ridiculous. Like, this guy is playing absolute god-tier Terran over the last few months. Okay, so here he comes again. Using the map really wonderfully, but this time around he's not sieged up yet. That being said, though, apparently there is still enough right here for the Terran player to hold this position. He's not allowing the creep to be respread. Oh, there we go. Dude, Oliveira is playing such good StarCraft lately. It's amazing to see. I feel like a year ago, Dark would have walked all over him, is what I'm getting at. But just playing clean. Look at that micro as well. Stutter stepping those units like a champ, splitting them up so the banelings don't deal a lot of splash. At the same time, there are a lot of Zerglings here just picking up those Terran reinforcements that are rallied towards the other side. You gotta be careful you don't take this fight too slow, so I love this move, making the executive decision right there to go after the hatchery. In the meantime, though, those Zerglings apparently got a little bit more adventurous. We did re-rally, but look at the supply depot positioning. That's not something I normally say in a game of StarCraft 2, but look at that! It's flawless. It's really good. It seems randomly positioned, but he's created choke points, so these Ling Bane attacks that usually hit don't really deal a lot of damage. And in the meantime, Oliveira has not actually been stopped here. I think he should go home. I think going home right now is actually the right call. Because there's a lot of Zerg reinforcements, and if you can regroup with the majority of that Terran army, I think life's going to be a-okay. That's exactly what's happening right now. Still, though, there is fungal growth available. You got to be so careful. One fungal in the middle of that ball of bio is gonna hurt. Lovely move there as well. Picking up the siege tanks, boosting them towards the high ground, sieging them up, so the Zerg has to back off. Now we're going into the Ghost Academy. So, the end of, well, not quite the end of the Marine Marauder era, okay? They're still pretty good, but there's a new legend in town. And that legend goes by the name of the Ghost. The Ghost, of course, a fantastic unit against pretty much everything that Zerg has. And when you're going for this double spellcaster approach, right? I mean, well, actually, no, the Vipers are dead already. Well, what I was gonna say is that EMP is pretty good against Infestors too. There's another medevac drop heading towards the, well, the top left-hand corner. In the meantime, Zerg trying their very best to scout out. He's now sees that this planetary fortress is finishing up, but at this point, there's really nothing you can do about that anymore. Okay, look at them. You see those little moves? You see how those Marines back up behind the Marauders? Great dodging. It's so obvious, right? Like, all of those things that I'm saying are obvious in isolation, but executing it in real time is incredibly hard. Look at the actions per minute right here. Infestors, look! Dark is getting overwhelmed a little bit by the amount of aggression that Oliveira is putting on. So, you can see that he is really fast when it comes to the actions per minute, but so far Oliveira, even though his APM is lower, seems a little bit quicker. Here he comes again. One thing Oli does is he continues pushing to make sure that there's no creep re-spread. Right? So he essentially does this ever since the Hellions showed up at like the 3-minute mark. Denying a lot of creep. Oh my god, a lot of Widow Mines right there in the, yeah, the smoke. Okay, one medevac does end up going down, but Oliveira continues pushing as he's now also, yeah, gone for another command center on the right side of the map. Massive fungal growth though. In the meantime, those Ravagers dealing a lot of damage. Nice moves right here from Dark. Dark has got a really solid economy still. Yeah. So even though he's been up with his back against the wall here for some time, he has managed to, well, stay alive. He's got some, I think, some abductions available too if he wants it. There are ghosts right now, so EMPs become critical. Well, Oliveira may be making the call to go back home. We should really see some new creep tumors spread over here in this direction, because Oliveira is certainly going to go after these bases eventually again. Okay. Small group of units trying to be annoying. Nice moves right there though by Dark. Sniping that all relatively easily. Good split right there on the medevac too. Don't get too close, lads, but even though the medevac may die, all the Marines have already been evacuated. So are we gonna go for a late game unit at all, Dark? Are we just gonna... With a late game unit, I mean something like, for example, a Lurker or an Ultra or even Brute Lords. Are we just gonna stick around on Infestors and Vipers instead? He actually never started up the +3 upgrades. Same right here for Oliveira. He hasn't gotten the +3 right there for the, what did you call it again? The Terran Carapace. All of these upgrades are huge. Would definitely not mind seeing them. Obviously, these Ravagers don't have any of those upgrades, right? Which really does kind of suck. Anyway, finally, Dark apparently is feeling brave enough to go for some counterattack damage. Now, this is expensive, but I do think it's worth it in the end, since he does have good upgrades. Those, well, Lings and Banes take care of that relatively quickly. 18 SCVs end up going down as well. All right. Another fungal growth over there, but the splits from Oliveira are solid. Still, Dark once more now has the supply advantage. He's been behind for a while, but he's been doing a phenomenal job trying to claw himself back into this game. Look at that one legendary ghost. 1 HP, now it's dead, but not without taking a couple more Zerglings with them as well. Another command center was produced. Oliveira is seemingly not a big fan of that mass command center style that we see guys like, for example, Maru play all the time. I mean, he does go for that as well from time to time, but instead he's now, look at the siege tank spread over here and the siege tank count in general. Instead he is spending a lot of his money on units, and yeah, that's nice. You gotta be careful though. He's creating a chokehold on some of these Zerg bases, but Dark has been having a pretty good amount of mining for quite a while now. The problem is the next bases right here from Zerg are incredibly exposed. So, okay. Microbial Shroud. Interesting decision. Pretending that it's Dark Swarm, I guess. This base over here is an option, or the one over here. But both of those are very exposed and easy to harass here for Oliveira. Oliveira right now going into additional starports and also the fusion core. So one of two options. Either battle cruisers. We're not going to see that. I can almost guarantee it. Or liberators with ranged. Makes a whole lot more sense. I always want to see battle cruisers though. I love battle cruisers, but there's no way. I mean, maybe there is a way. It's just too slow, right? It just takes too long. Alright, Dark, once again, ready to go for a counterattack. He realizes breaking this position is going to be expensive, but it's very difficult for the Terran to break these sort of spots as well when you've got a bunch of infestors, you got some fungal growths. It's hard to get damage done. Now there aren't really that many units available. There's even a couple of drones showing up there too for some offensive hatcheries. No, that's not going to happen either. Okay, very, very nice. Corrosive Bowels right there from Dark, who's now starting to really hold on quite smoothly. And in the meantime, he's done a tremendous amount of damage here. SCVs, okay, at the top at the very least are still alive, so that's something, but Command Center ends up burning down. Oliveira may have gotten a little bit too greedy. Blinding Clouds now available as well. Those Corrosive Bowels, those Fungal Growths, those Vipers in general, they've all been amazing. Controlling these units, by the way, is not easy, right? Infestors need a separate hotkey, Vipers need a separate hotkey, Roach Ravager needs a separate hotkey, the Queens need everything needs a separate hotkey here for Dark. So if he makes one little mistake, if he fat fingers one of his hotkeys for just a second, right, which I am very well known to do, you will lose. these very expensive units. Dark, though, doing an excellent job controlling it all wonderfully. He wants one more bile to finish the job. Honestly, seems a little greedy. Okay, well, eventually... Nah, look at that. The queens. Okay, beautiful. They keep them alive with some more transfusions. Now, suddenly, Dark is leading this game by about 30 supply. Oliveira, though, still has a good amount of SCVs in total. Yes, he's lost 40, but he's also killed 48 drones. Now, suddenly, though... I'm gonna back off for a second, sorry. I did not notice the setup. I was looking at the work account, not nearly as glamorous. Apparently now is the time where Dark is looking at this. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna spring a little surprise on my opponent. I'm gonna send in the infestors aggressively so they all unburrow at the same time. That is an expensive move because he's gonna end up losing pretty much all of them. But he also cleans up this position for the first time in like 5 minutes. Finally, ooh, okay, that was unfortunate. Finally, the Zerg is free once again, and Dark is leading this game very nicely right now. He was incredibly far behind, but now he is once again looking solid. I think what he wants to do is try to break the Terran, right? So this is the soft underbelly of the Terran right here. If you can get on top of all of their production, that's when the game gets relatively straightforward for the Zerg, because you can pick up the units as they pop out of the production structures. Oliveira, though, he's very spread out, yes, but he still has income coming from the north. And since there's a lot of planetary fortresses, yeah, there's 4 of them set up, it's difficult for the Zerg to harass that, right? You can't really harass it, you have to really commit. A lot of Terran units are still popping out of those production structures, but this is a bit of an overextension. Terran, yeah, holding on to the natural, losing a bunch of supply depots, hitting a supply block right now as well. But he's got enough stuff. Yeah, he's got enough stuff popping out of those barracks to hold on. 6 supply depots now start up. We're just building them basically anywhere. I guess, again, to create some choke points, even though it looks a little bit random. Okay, Oliveira making supply depots for the next game now. 8 of them in total. Seems a little extreme, but at the very least he's going to be able to get back to mining. Okay. The infestors once again moving forward. Dark has noticed, hey, you haven't gone for any missile turrets. If you don't have missile turrets, I can continuously harass you. Look at the spread over, though. Yeah, over here, though. Like, doing an excellent job. Making sure that those ghosts are not clumped up so one EMP can't ruin your day, although... he's clumping them up a little bit too much right now for my liking. That being said, yeah, Dark, he wants to take the bait, but he also doesn't want to lose all of his infestors in the process. Okay, pretty decent last second split right there. There's still more and more of these bad boys available too, though. Those mines dealing more damage to the Terran than they did to the Zerglings, well, at least initially. Command Center seems like it will live for now, and with 1 SCV bringing it back up to HP, I think it's gonna be okay. In the meantime, by the way, Dark securing this base here at the 12 o'clock position, so these guys are becoming neighbors. Oliveira forced to slow down this game a little. Now there's a missile turret coming up. This is not actually something Dark can see, so I think that this infestor will be toast if he's not careful. Anyways, he's forced to slow the game down a little bit, Oliveira that is, but he is, once again, getting up there when it comes to the supply count. Still a lot of infestors available, though. 1 fungal growth. Yeah, ooh, beautiful EMP. Hold up! Did he just EMP the creep? There's an EMP being shot over here. Oh, no, he does have a scan. Okay, sorry, for some reason I missed that scan. I was gonna say, did he just... Oh my god, another massive fungal over there. Did he just magically guess where they were located? Well, there's not enough anti-air available. Oh, that one Viper doesn't have enough energy. This one also doesn't have enough energy, so those ghosts do manage to stay alive. They're backing up to the safety of the planetary fortress, and the planetary fortress is being repaired. Yeah, beautiful moves once again by Oliveira. If he has 1 more scan available and these infestors die, that would be absolutely amazing. He does have another scan available. Those infestors essentially walk themselves within that vision radius. Zerglings, though, with the reinforcement once again showing up. We don't have fungal growth energy, so there's not a whole lot you can do. Once more, some of the ghosts do get evacuated and out of there, as now Oliveira is back up there when it comes to the supply count. Dark was leading the supply count not that long ago by like 40. That's massive. He does have another base down south over here as well. Yeah, more and more of those mineral lines are running out, so he has to send the drones into more exposed areas. Huge widow mines over here too. There's no detection available for the Zerg as he now desperately goes for an overseer, but That one is not done just yet, so those Widow Mines should be able to back up to safety. Oliveira using some of his reinforcements right now to go for the bases in the bottom left. He must recognize that there's not a lot of money anymore here for the Zerg, and if there's not a lot of money, yeah, you can't really protect two areas at once, and this immediately, look at the minimap, is now triggering Dark to go all the way down towards the 6 o'clock position, which I would imagine is now gonna allow Oliveira to push in up north. If he wanted to, I think he can start going down after, or he can go after that hatchery as well. Hatchery over here is killed. Hatchery up north, also in trouble. The classic 1-2 punch right here from Oliveira, who just now very swiftly took down 2 of his opponent's mining bases. And I think those may be the only mining bases. GG is called! As first this game was led by Oliveira, then Dark managed to come back. But in the end, it's still Oliveira who obtains the victory. Very well done.